There has been a lot of talk about the changing nature of work. Although recently in the news, you'll find that most people talking about the changing nature of work are focusing their attention on how we're no longer working in offices, and lots of people are going to be moving away from offices and co working spaces and the whole thing about working from home. Now, there are some people, on the other hand, who say that this is more of a feature of Western society and that work in our part of the world, in Nigeria, in West Africa, on the African continent, maybe even Asia, that working habits are going to remain the same. Now, whether that change is actually going on or not, there actually is a change that has been going on for those of us within the wedding industry space, whether we are based in Nigeria, in America, in Europe, or Czechoslovakia. And in a way, it's not something that's unique to we wedding industry professionals, but also to people in the software industry, because you have lots of coders, designers, what else? I think animators as well, and probably even architects who are also having changes in their industry about the way that they work. And the changes that I'm talking about are quite simple. Now, unlike working in the old days or having lots of manual labor work, those of us who are in these industries, especially those of us who want to set about doing business on our own, end up spending a lot of time sitting behind screens, computers, tablets, working from home, and often we're not doing it in the most ergonomically efficient manner possible. Now, what does that mean? Since we are sitting at home at the dining room area for some of us, which is designed for eating and not necessarily for working, because the desks should be in relation to your chair and should be in relation to your height in a certain way, so that when you have your tablet there or you have your desktop computer there or your laptop, it's in a comfortable position so that your head is properly aligned with your spine and the rest of your body. So you have a lot of us wedding planners, photographers, architects, coders, what else? Animators, software people who are working slouched in these uncomfortable positions that are not optimal for the kind of work that we do, especially since we end up doing it for hours on end. So a wedding photographer's day is typically wake up. If you're trying not to be one of the lazy ones, then you're going to do your sales calls. So excuse me, you'll do your sales calls, and then there's photo editing, and what else? Engagement on social media and things like that. So if you don't have any nicely scheduled interruptions or other things that you should go run out and do, it is not unrealistic to think that you're going to spend about 4 to 5 hours hunched over in a particular position trying to get something done. And it's going to be the same with those of you who are wedding planners, going over your schematics or updating your social media or replying to email and making your sales calls as well. And so because of that, we have a lot of people who are putting in long hours, and we're not really conscious about our health and our safety. Now, why did I remember that today? For those of you who've listened to the podcast, you know it's something I've spoken about before, but I've had an interaction with one of my clients recently that made it just fresh in my mind again, and I figured I'd make another podcast recording just to remind you guys about it. So I was chilling with one of my clients recently. We were going over one of the deliverables for a referral that she passed along to me, and we're sitting in her car and we're going over some stuff. And I noticed that she was doing something that I do, and I've noticed some other people doing as well. So I go to meet her in her car, and she had a stack of papers with her, things she needed to follow up on. She had her phone there. Let's see what else. Phone, tablet, everything. And she was getting some work done in the car while she was waiting for me to show up. And that's something that I've taken to doing for a very long time now, maybe the last 2 years or so. I've commandeered one of my son's school bags, the old school bags, and I just throw everything there: phones, power bank, what else? Anything that I need to do. And so while I'm waiting for someone at a meeting, I just leave the air conditioner on. I'm in the car and I'm trying to get some work done. And she was doing the same thing as well. So while we're going everything, I noticed that her wrist was in the cast, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, ma. Looks like you hurt your wrist." And she said, "Yeah, it's been hurting for a while. She's going to get it looked at." And I remember a conversation that I had with one of the parents at my son's former school, where it was the same thing. This fellow is a software developer. We both have similar working habits. He also leaves the AC on in the car to try and get some work done. While you're in between one meeting and another, you get to the venue early, you try and see the amount of work that you can get done. So he does the same thing. And his was a chronic condition that had been going on for several months. Well, he was having a doctor look at it, a doctor who has a background in occupational therapy. So that's something that those of us in the wedding space ought to be aware of, that there actually are professionals whose job it is to help us sort out these sorts of issues. They're called occupational therapists, if I remember correctly, I think. Okay, I think the occupational therapist is the person who administers the therapy when you're done with the doctor, after the doctor has made the diagnosis. The occupational therapist is the person who helps you get your wrist back in shape, your neck sorted out, your back alignment sorted out, and all of that jazz. So not only are these professionals available, you will find that, sorry, excuse me, I have a bit of a cough and it's not gone yet. Sorry about that. Okay, so you find that not only are these services becoming, there's a growing awareness for these fields. You find that in our own part of the world, there's not only a growing awareness that these fields exist, but that we also have lots of entrants coming into it. Because I have one of my in-laws who is studying to be an occupational therapist. I think they have some of their institutes or a school or something like that in Benin City. So those things are coming up. So I guess it's good news for us that when we do run into serious trouble, hopefully we don't, but if we do run into serious trouble, that the professionals are here to be able to sort us out. So so that's just what brought it to my mind. There are a lot of us who are working like this in lots of cramped conditions, and they are not. Sometimes I guess it looks like it's an efficient way to go to get work done, to try and take things off our ever demanding schedules. But there are a lot of us that are putting ourselves in harm's way, especially those of us who are wedding industry professionals. So photographers, we lug around a lot of gear. Back when I used to shoot with two bodies, the two camera bodies plus the lenses and everything, there were some times when I could have 12 kilograms of gear on me for several hours of the day, and then you're done, and then this editing, you're slouched over the computer. I don't have an ergonomic mouse. I really should have an ergonomic mouse, but I don't have one. Let's see, what else? Of course, I'm working off a desk that we have in the house, which was just one of these camping kind of desks that my father-in-law bought for Patience, my wife. And of course, after we got married, I just commandeered it anyway. I figured, hey, you're not using this desk. I need something that I can work with easily. So let me have it. And then plus, it was really easy to set it up at wedding shows, so I could take it along. So there are lots of people, lots of professionals like us who are working in these kinds of cramped conditions, and we're causing problems for ourselves. What else? Arthritis in the fingers, shortened muscles in the arms, in your neck, and in your back, and things of that nature. So while this is not an episode saying we should stop working in the car, I'll just say that we have to pay more attention to the way that we work, because for those of us in the wedding industry space, it's not just our minds that are our greatest tools, but our bodies as well. Because photographers, we have to move around and do the photography work ourselves. UK people have to do all the baking related things yourselves. Not everything, but a great deal of it. And the wedding decor people, you guys have to be in tip-top shape to make sure that if you have 6-8 weddings in a month, that you're actually able to drive to those locations, move around and supervise everything. So we have to pay attention to the way that we work, and whatever it is that we can do to make things easier on our bodies, we should. So my advice, It's the same as it was on the last podcast where I spoke about health and safety issues. So forgive me that I'm making a detour because this is not sales related, but it's something that we need to have a discussion about as an industry. So wedding photographers, push-ups, squats, you need a strong back, you need strong legs, you need strong arms. Go for walks, it helps with your spinal alignment. We need to do a lot of that. Same thing with UK people. In fact, I think for UK people it's even worse than the rest of us because you guys are really hunched over. When you're at the turning wheel and you're doing all the icing, decoration work on the cake, and all that jazz. So we need to be much more mindful of this, do more exercise to correct those aspects where we're most at risk. So like I mentioned, we photographers and we cake people, I think for us it's neck and back. I'm not sure what the rest of you guys are. I guess the MCs don't have any problem because you just show up and talk all day. So yeah, we should remove the MCs from this conversation. I guess they don't have any problems. So yeah, exercise and then ergonomic gear to try and make your life a whole lot easier. I know a photographer who uses what's it called? Something like a guard you put on your screen. It's supposed to cut out, is it UV flare, ultraviolet flare from the computer, so to protect your eyes. You have the ergonomic mouse. You have the adjustable chair with the adjustable back. I just have one of those cheap chairs that I got from the shopping center in Area 3. I just went there. Sorry, not Area 3. Zone 3. Yeah, we'll say Zone 3. So I got there. It was orange because I like orange. It looked nice. It seemed like the right height. And so I bought it. So I just have one of those basic plastic chairs. But if you can, the good ergonomic stuff, it doesn't have to be ergonomic. I guess the adjustable stuff, adjust the height, adjust the back, get an ergonomic mouse. I hear that the ball and clicking thing is a lot better than using the mouse. I have no idea. Well, anyway, just seek out the professional's opinion on that. Maybe the next time you go to see your doctor, you can ask, which is better, the ergonomic mouse or the ball and clicker thing that some graphic designers already use, or maybe having a pen and a tab instead if you're a photo retoucher. Of course, if your doctor doesn't know anything about that, since we have lots of occupational therapists now coming onto the field, I guess it's not a problem to ask him for a referral, and then they will send you along and you can speak to the professionals and then have that done. So that's it for today's episode. It is not sales related, it's not money related, but I guess in a way you could say it is, because in the book, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I can't remember who wrote it. Is it Stephen? And I can't remember the author. But in the Habits of the Highly Effective People, the author writes about sharpening the sword, and that is basically rest and relaxation. The idea is that you can't keep working the equipment all the time. You need time to rest your equipment and to tune everything up and to make sure that things are okay. And as sales professionals, because we are all sales professionals in this industry, because we spend a lot of time selling and trying to promote ourselves and our services. So as sales professionals, our body is a tool of the trade, and we have to take good care of our body. And so that's pretty much the gospel that I came on the mic to preach today. And by the time we're back at our next recording, I will go back to the usual thing, which we all signed up for, which is on ways about how we can use the discipline of personal selling to improve our businesses and make some more money and impact. So thank you very much for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based event and wedding photographer, Tavishima Ayede. I'm signing off now. It's not going to be any podcast recording tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be dedicated to recording for my other podcast. That's the So You're Getting Married podcast, where I speak to brides and grooms about things to anticipate before getting married, as well as some hot button topics that come up in relationships and marriage. So since I'm recording that other podcast tomorrow, you guys are not going to hear anything from me tomorrow. So I'll catch you guys in another 2 or maybe 3 days. So thanks for listening. Thanks for the time and attention. Also for the support and the encouragement for those of you who reached out after the interview was published. I was interviewed by Love Weddings NG, an outfit in the United Kingdom that is compiling a list of podcasts that you should pay attention to, African podcasts that you should pay attention to, wedding related, and I was shortlisted as one of the candidates for the interview sessions. So a few of you reached out to say congratulations when the interview went live. So thank you very much for the love and support. Don't forget to keep liking, sharing, and talking about all the wonderful stuff that we talk about over here. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you at the next recording.